The sacred blueprint is really this bridging of the energetics of the land, listening to the spirit of the land, to receive vision for the ideal, most optimal blueprint. And it often is coming in with an element of the future. You know, the land is evolving, the land is transforming, and always urges us to take one step further, one step up, and will often not offer visions that are, let's say, a kind of a boring suburban structure, right? But it will most definitely offer a vision that is really suited for the client's life situation.
Welcome, everyone, for another episode of your favorite talk show on facilitating thought leadership. This is AWA Agora. I'm your host, Abhay M Madhwa. In a new location this week, I'm in Mumbai currently, and thrilled to host a wonderful speaker, who's doing really significant work in the field of architecture. Many of us are architects who, when COVID came, started to do these talks so that we could stay connected with our friends and facilitate thought leadership, so that through the pandemic, we could also maintain our sanity. But as the pandemic thankfully is leaving us, let's just take that leap of faith and say that, right? Positive affirmation, that it's leaving us. We are still continuing with our shows. You know, we are getting close to our 50th episode of AWA Agora. We've had about 56 guests on our show so far. And what I'm thrilled about is that our viewers, our friends, our well-wishers are so wonderful in their encouragement in us continuing this journey after, post-pandemic. And in light of that, and in that spirit, we have this wonderful guest. I mean, we met each other through a common friend, Durea Kareem, who has been on our show before. And once I saw what our guest today was doing, I had to have her on the show. She is from Toronto. Her name is Aisha Rose Melody Hassan. She's now based in Turkey, in Izmir in Turkey. And she's a licensed architect in Turkey. The kind of architecture that she's been supporting and promoting and working with is so engaging that you're all in for an incredible treat. So please join me in welcoming Aisha. Aisha, welcome. It's wonderful to have you here.
Hello, nice to have you. Nice to be here. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Of course. We're just thrilled to have you because, our audience, as you know, is mixed. I mean, we have healers and therapists and musicians and artists, and then we have architects and engineers and developers. And your subject is such a happy confluence of all disciplines wanting to know more about it, right? So I would love for you to share your journey with us, just a little bit about that. And then there's so many questions that I have in my head that I'm sure, many in the audience would also want to ask. So over to you, Aisha, a little bit about your journey and, and then all those beautiful questions.
Thank you.
Sure.
Oh, well, my journey. Wow. Well, it's been a ride for sure. It's been a ride. I studied university at the University of Waterloo in just outside of Toronto. Co-op program, had the chance to work while studying. Super amazing. I love that. I love the balance between the practical and the theoretical, where we could actually, from a young age, learn how to practice architecture in various offices in different parts of the world. Amazing. And I'm a traveler. I love traveling. I got to do backpacking in the middle, and it was amazing. Then I started practicing working in offices after graduating. And I could never really stay put in one office long enough. My body needed to move. My soul needed to move. I love traveling. And, as I was experiencing working in different offices, I noticed I kept on getting really drained. Really drained. I was feeling, I don't want to use the spiritual language because then I wasn't using that language, right? So drained,
Okay.
sick, really getting sick constantly, feeling really stressed. I worked in various offices that had, healthy cultures, right? Healthy dynamics, others that were not so healthy, the kind where you're like, when you want to leave the office at 6:30 in the evening and then everybody gives you the looks, what's she doing leaving the office? Like that kind of psychological pressure. Really, I experienced all different scales, but there was this, I realized I'm a very sensitive person, and I knew that from a very young age. I could feel my environment. I could feel what other people's were thinking. I still can. I can feel the energetics of the room, right? And I noticed that in the process of building, of creating, of designing, sure, there's so much joy on many parts, on the parts of many architects and offices. But in general, I was noticing a lot of stress, anxiety, this pressure, deadline-oriented world, lots of over-design, lots of unnecessary drawing, layouts, all option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4. Office is going in the red, okay, losing money, while clients are not getting what their souls really desire. There was a big disjunct, and I could only start putting the pieces together later. So again, body was run down. I was really stressed, crying in the evenings, and getting so, I just felt like there was a lack of purpose and a lack of soul in the majority, in the conventional way of practicing architecture. So I took a break. The birth of my son was a really important year, and it opened up my spiritual gifts, my intuitive gifts. Okay, and then I started to explore meditation. I did prior before as well during university. I mean, it wasn't just like a hard, it's a transition. Esoteric studies, geomancy, land energetics, and then I got into what is called alchemical energy healing. And this is based in the ancient Egyptian mysteries, the alchemical energy healing. And this is healing for the body. I knew I had a gift to sense energy and to do light work, to do healing. And so I entered into a program in Ontario to train and study to be an alchemical energy healer. So this was me going, I'm done with architecture. I'm done. It's too stressful. My shoulders are hurting from being in front of the computer too long, right? Like this grind and this nonstop. It's a really rigorous, difficult it's
profession.
A challenging profession, right?
Yeah.
It's really challenging. So studying alchemical energy healing, received my certificate of practice fairly quickly. It flowed so well. The stars aligned. And I started healing, doing, healing people and taking this break. I did do a bit of part-time work as well in architecture during the time. And so I have a capacity to speak with energy, with the energies of nature. Okay. And in alchemical energy healing, you do this and you're able to receive inspiration, guidance, and support from nature.
Very cool.
Well, nature, in some of my deep journeys, told me there was this point. I'm doing my healing, right? One little room with a massage table, thoroughly enjoying it, receiving messages saying, "You can't run away that fast. You are a creator of form. It is your sacred duty to bridge spirit with matter and be an ancient temple builder of the future."
What would that be? I mean, an ancient temple builder of the future. I mean, that's a heavy role, isn't it? I mean,
It is.
does
And
is the pressure overwhelming? But just explain to us what that means.
in terms of the pressure of it, well, I am definitely pioneering something very new, and yet it's very ancient. And yet many people hold the codes and the keys and for this wisdom within them, even if it's at a subconscious level. Okay. So yes, in terms of being the pioneer, sometimes it's really challenging for me because I have no reference point. Someone who I may be mentoring soon said, "Aisha, you created something out of nothing." And I was like, I didn't mean to say it in like that you just did nothing, but it's like you created something out of nothing. Yes, it feels that way at many times, and actually, it's not. It's not that. I'm listening to the wisdom that was already planted in our cultures on this planet, from indigenous wisdom to ancient cultures all around the world, and the impulse. The inspiration I was receiving is from nature, from Mother Nature, and they kicked me in the butt and said, "You got to do this, Aisha. You got to bridge these two worlds." So, what is an ancient temple builder of the future? I wonder what the audience feels and intuits when you hear this. So, I would love to hear your visions when you hear these words as I speak. So please add that into the chat. We are co-creating at the same time right now, this ancient temple builder of the future. And we're not doing it alone. Even if you're like, what? I have no idea what she's talking about. But if you feel the chills and the shivers, if you have a feeling and an intuition about it, then it's drawing you. For example, in ancient Egypt, the architects were initiates, and they knew how to read the stars, they knew how to read the cosmos, they knew how to read the lays, the energy lines in the earth to find the optimal location of a temple. And the act of building, and most often in the sacred buildings, right? Like, I'm not sure how detailed they would get in their ceremonial work with building houses and communities, except, of course, that those were part of a larger whole, a larger concept of a city, a larger concept of, dwellings, inhabiting the land, right? In close proximity to sacred sites, whether they're natural formations or temples, right? Like the pyramids, for example. Sure. The pyramids were built with such precision for those times that it's, take it or leave it. I mean, through my research, through my deep research in the mystical wisdom, they really received direct information from the cosmos, support from spirit to build these temples. The accuracy, right, of lining up with with Sirius and Orion, and right, lining these structures up with such precision. So an awareness of the energetics and the grid work of the cosmos, and the energetics and grid work of the land, right? But what is another deep beautiful level that I'm exploring in this ancient temple building is the process. How do we bring back sacred ceremony into the act of building? We used to, and many cultures used to, do foundation stone ceremonies. And there's still this kind of ribbon cutting, right? Even like breaking ground, and there'll be like the photo shoot, and there is a ceremony, and that's kind of left, residual pieces from the ancient world practices. Foundation stone ceremonies, or land acknowledgement. Our Indigenous brothers and sisters would always consult the land before doing any kind of decision making for their community or for the building, building, maybe it was a longhouse, or where to locate the next, dwelling site. So asking nature for guidance, asking the spirit of the land for guidance, asking Mother Earth for guidance, and receiving vision. So this is the key bridge, the key piece, this visioning work. And I can get into that a bit more when I share about how I work. And so, ancient temple builder of the future. So what's the key here? I mean, the key, for me, it's like, well, I'm not going back in time and copying what the ancient temple builders were doing. We're in a modern world. If you look at Greek temples, even the pyramids, for example, only the initiates could enter. Only the initiates could enter, and general public could not enter. Now we are free to enter temple spaces, whatever they may be, places of prayer. And I feel that even that is now not needed as much as creating spaces for community, for social renewal, for building the new earth in a totally new way, in a totally new vessel. So yeah,
that's fantastic. Yeah, I think the way you explained it makes a lot of sense. I mean, what you're really doing is understanding the ancient wisdoms and then bringing it to the present and the future through modalities that I'm sure you will share with us as we go further into this talk. How do you really work then? I mean, like, if I were just kind of, because your information is sparking this question, that if I were a home builder, anywhere in the world, but let's say I'm somewhere on the Jersey Shore and I want to build, a little house for myself. And I would come to you and say, Aisha, can you help me do this? Because I want it to be connected with the ancient wisdoms. I mean, as you, I'm sure, are aware that in many parts of Asia that we would have these ceremonies before building anything, right?
Yeah,
you would worship
it's like
the land.
normal.
Yeah. It's pretty, no, and I totally get what you're saying. But now I'm say on the Jersey Shore, right? Beautiful location. The ocean's beautiful. No tsunamis coming our way anytime soon. It's all good, right? And you say, yeah, right, exactly. And I come to you, say, Aisha, help me build a house there. So what would you tell me? As a client, what would you tell me?
Yeah.
What are your modalities? What are your, quote unquote, deliverables, as we say in the architectural world? Right?
So before the deliverables, what I guide my clients through is a sacred journey to tap into their soul's purpose, tap into their inner world first, before deciding on what kind of house they want, what kind of garden they want, what kind of community they want. So what I ask them to do first is relinquish all attachments they may have to a certain style, a certain way they want their house to look, a certain look, we're addicted, right, to Pinterest and Instagram images, right? It's nonstop. They can be very helpful towards the end, but At first, it's a journey of going inward. And I work with the four directions. I work with the nature spirit. I ask my clients to go inward first to discover their soul's purpose. And then I take them through discovering the energetics of the land, of their property. So what is something really important that we're all starting to realize, at least those of us who are involved in energy work, is that the land is our mirror, and we attract a certain property for a reason.
Okay.
We attract a certain property for a reason, and our own energetic blueprint attracts a certain property for a reason, because we have some lessons to learn from that property. Properties are not dead, inanimate things. They are alive. Yes. They are living beings. They are living things. It is Mother Nature. The indigenous peoples would never even imagine or conceive of owning property. But now we do, and this is our reality, and it's our responsibility to be stewards of our land. And I don't mean that we all need to go and turn into like some, do ecological, sustainable communities. I'm not saying that. You could be in the suburb and build such a beautiful garden in that behind your suburban home and attract the most beautiful birds and attract, right? Okay, so going back to the process, I take my clients through this cyclical transformational journey to discover their soul's purpose, so that they really get down to the core of what they truly desire, not what their parents desire. Look, I've worked with clients who are 50 years old and they're still trying to satisfy their parents on a subconscious level. Wow. Or not trying to satisfy what society thinks they should have. All these outer reasons. Oh, well, I need to have a master bedroom with a giant ensuite because that's what my whole community, that's all the people that I'm surrounded with have. The role is different here. I teach and guide them. I'm a way shower so that they get to form a deep connection with the spirit of the land, with their property, and together we co-create the design through a deep visioning process. And I want to be really clear here and open to all you architects out there. When I talk about this, when I talk about the spirit of the land, this is not poetic. This is not conceptual. This is not airy-fairy stuff. I'm talking serious practical work where you actually ask the land for guidance. And it is absolutely phenomenal what happens when my clients enter into this sacred partnership with the spirit of the land. They start dreaming about their properties. They start sketching the designs themselves, and they've never had any experience as an architect.
So fantastic. That is such a beautiful.
Of course, it's going to happen, manifest in a different way for many different clients, but it's happened so many times. They call me up, Aisha, I just had this dream. And I saw it. I saw the fireplace, and I saw exactly where the optimal location of my dream home is. And so when you go through this process, and then we hash it out, and then I go into map dowsing. I do land energetics work. I'm able to find water. I do geomancy. So, I work with my dowsing rods, right? Not all the time. I do work with my body's wisdom as well, but to get more precise, I work with the ley lines and the water lines. And we find the sweet spots on the property, and also, this is not all rainbows, butterflies, and chocolate. We find parts of the property that perhaps have been traumatized.
Yes. Geopathic stress, right? That's the geopathic stress.
Right? Yeah. And, even geopathic stress, to me, the wording of it feels still distant. Traumatized or hurt or sad.
What a
or
beautiful,
unhappy.
beautiful
The
concept.
land
Yeah, yeah.
is our body and our body is the land.
Land. Yeah. You're one
There's
and the
no
same.
there's no
Mm.
separation. So I take them through this, and then we do the detailing of how we can work with these energy lines, how can we work with these sweet spots, how can we do a land healing ceremony to pay respect and
Mm.
acknowledgement and plant the seeds on the property in such a way that will lay healthy, resilient foundations. And when this happens, permitting, design process, construction process generally flows pretty easily, even if, because we can run into challenges. But
Sure.
for the long haul, long-term sustainability and resiliency of the property and the client, it is such an incredible, it just
Yeah. Now, just
results,
listening to
right?
you is
Amazing
just,
results.
yeah,
Yeah.
just listening to you is getting, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just hearing how you're describing the process. I totally subscribe to it. I understand what you're saying and doing. And I'm sure many of our guests are going to also get on board with engaging with Gaia and Mother Nature in a way as a living entity, not a place to just come and park yourself, not ask questions and just build. And when this message gets out to, all the developers and clients that
Yeah.
are doing work, that there is, and this is a question that I've been wanting to ask you, is like, what do you think is missing in the architecture practice today? And I think this is definitely one of the things that nobody even knows that this is actually
No.
has strong relevance to it being a wholesome, healthy
Yeah.
site where people are happy. I mean, there are occasions when I walk into a space or a project and I'm like, you
Yeah. You
you just
feel
have
it,
to
right?
leave the space. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're
You
like,
feel it.
what, you guys need to do something. And I offline I'll share some stories with you about our developer friends in different parts of the world who woke up to it. I mean, in particular in Egypt and in India, where we're doing, both places where we're doing work, where they woke up to it and they were able to work on the trauma of the land,
Mm.
and the projects turned around like you wouldn't believe, right? And of course, I mean, when I've spoken about this very, very briefly to some friends, they're like, oh, that's just hocus pocus hippie stuff. I'm like, no, you don't get it. This is all scientific. This is all the magnetic lines, the ley lines, the Curry lines, the Hoffman lines, all of those from the planet, the water, these things, which I know that you've done a lot of work with that. So not to get too much into all those
Yeah.
details, but I know you have some beautiful drawings and a project that you would like to share. So maybe we can dive into that and come back to the question of what do you think is missing in the architecture practice today, and a few
Absolutely.
other questions. Yeah.
I enjoy doing hand drawings a lot. I feel that the energy of the land and my clients and the whole process really speaks through my hand, and so often it's hand sketches that we do.
Mm,
So this is a site plan. This is a project I worked on recently in Muskoka area in Ontario, and the clients, a couple with two beautiful children. They're doing actually homeschooling on the property. It's a very, very large property. Oh God, I could probably going to forget the amount of acres. Was it 80 to 100 acres or something? It's
mm,
huge. So um, they came to me because there was not they were constantly hitting roadblocks with their house design, and they were working with an architectural designer at the time,
mm,
and they showed me the drawings, and as when we started partnering, and it was very clear that it was located in the absolute wrong place. It just was not right, and it was a giant house, a really big house, and did not suit their energetics, very clear. And so we went through the visioning journey that I just briefly gave you all a picture of. And together with my clients, we birthed this site plan, this layout. And the main house is this kind of L-shaped, wedge-shaped house. This is a kind of a 1.5 story one with a slight mezzanine, two-story space here with a beautiful entry garden, and then these power spots, these gardens that are anchors, power spots along the property. So we worked with, and I even taught them how to do dowsing and locate power spots. Power spots are intersections between ley solar lines. They are the masculine straight running energy lines on the land, and the water lines. They are feminine and they are meandering, and they are the yin lines. So the yin and the yang lines, and the intersection between those create a beautiful harmonized sweet spot. Now, this is a general description. You get into blind springs and many other phenomenon, vortexes, energy vortex. I mean, there's a whole slew of things you can encounter in the realm of geomantic phenomenon on your property. But in essence, we're asking the spirit of the land to guide us through our intuition without overthinking things. And so this garden emerged. Now there's a flower of life pattern here. And I swear I did not impose that thing on. My client sketched it out intuitively after a dream, and so. So there's this kind of, they want to do this outdoor eating area with an outdoor kitchen from an old shed structure with a pool, and then, earth to table kind of festivities with their community. And, they've got even a chicken coop and all their gardens and, potting shed all along here. So this is an example of how we worked with the energetics of the land to give birth to the site. You could go to the next image of the entire aerial of the site plan. Yeah. So the house is actually in and around where you have the words anchoring, spirit. The house is actually so tiny, it's in and around this area. There's actually a natural clearing here. This is a giant property, very close to a body of water here. I do map dowsing as well. So I work with large properties with my pendulum. And I work with finding the sweet spots, the power spots, and any other information that I may need in order to open the way for smooth, successful, easeful project planning. And we discovered that there is an energy vortex on this property, a very powerful one. In fact, we encountered spirits that were quite angry there and needed to be acknowledged. And so we did a water ceremony and we followed guidance. Okay, with my expertise, we worked on that. It's a process, though. It can be a process. It's not like, it's a magic. Sometimes it's a magic wand and it's like, oh, that worked. Sometimes it can take a bit of time to unlock some blockages on the land, just like our human body, right? Mm-hmm. It takes time to heal. So one thing here is that the road, we encountered a lot of animal spirits, especially fish, that communicated with us and told us that the road actually was blocking the flow of water. We discovered a huge underground lake under this property.
No kidding. Wow.
And all kinds of other amazing things and not so amazing things. And, it all started to bring the picture together of the energetics and story of the place. All these shiny spots are power spots, and you can see that they're coming in a spiral. And energy vortexes are spaces that are like portals where there's a strong connection between sky forces and earth forces.
Earth forces, yeah.
So without getting into too much detail, this is a glimpse into the kinds of energetic maps that I work on.
When you are doing the dowsing and the geomancy on this, are you doing this from a Google Earth image, or you actually
Yeah.
walk?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
So in this, no, absolutely, a very good question. I am able to do both. Now, this is a huge property. So doing the dowsing, especially for the water lines, because they're meandering, would take months for this
Months.
property.
Yeah, yeah.
It really would. And also, that's not really the point of helping my clients, because often they're like, okay, well, what am I going to do with this ley line, or what am I going to do with this water line? Only when I investigated on a much more detailed level, when they are in close proximity to houses, gardens, and if there are any water lines that may be toxic, that could compromise their health or their sleep, then we look at those, and we look at balancing those out, or nature spirit dwellings, or this or that.
Okay.
But in terms of the big picture, I often work with map dowsing. I do work from a distance as well. I'm able to guide my clients through birthing a concept design from a distance. In this case, I was, we had how many site meetings? It was 3. We had 3 site meetings, and we did the rest through long distance. Yeah. So I was on the property. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, related question. So, you found this energy vortex clearly that you can see the spiral kind of going to the center.
Yeah.
Now, what do you do with it? And I mean, to the person who's asked the question,
yeah.
I'm also going to say that there is so much to what she does in terms of it being a science, that I'm sure if they have a project, or if they have more questions, that they can contact you directly, right, Aisha?
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
And we'll have
and
a
we'll
contact
be sharing my
information.
contact. Yeah. At the end. Yeah.
So
what do you do with
the question
it?
is, what do you do with this vortex now?
Yeah.
Is it
So
positive? Is it negative?
It can be both. It can be both. And actually, it's interesting as you say that. There's a different rotation too. Anyway, vortexes move in both counterclockwise and clockwise. Sometimes under the earth, above the earth. So vortexes they can be intense in terms of their energetics, and it depends on the people that live on the property and how close your house is to it. There have been houses even built over vortexes, and that can cause a lot of insane dreams. That can cause a lot of, if someone is not equipped for it, it can cause some illness, it can cause discomfort, it can cause hyperactivity. There can be a lot of impact on the physical body. Again, it depends on the person. It may be the perfect matching. I'll just plant a seed that the couple who I worked with, the woman and the man, actually, they're both very gifted intuitively. I'll just say this: this vortex is asking them to step up and to step into a larger role. And that they hold space for protecting this land on a much bolder level. But the land, you attract this land for a reason. It was so easy for them to buy this property. Like, it all just like chook, 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 fell into place. So, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful place, and it has an intensity. So I think that would be enough there. I don't want to be, I don't want anyone to ingrain what I said in their mind, because every day is a new day, and we are transforming. The land is transforming at an alarming rate right now. The world is transforming. Our consciousness, our souls are transforming. And so, 2-3 years from now, this vortex may be saying something different.
Right. So will this be another question that's come in? Is this a sacred blueprint? Is this what you would call a sacred blueprint?
Well, that's a great question. Abhay, the sacred blueprint there's so much, and I feel like we are all shaping it and co-creating it together. For me, it's a modality that I've given birth to. I have courses, programs that are designed with following this structure of the sacred blueprint. And it is the sacred journey that I take my clients and also my other clients that light me up so much, who are architects. I am currently mentoring women architects so that they step into
Fantastic.
their intuition and their magic. So the sacred blueprint is really this bridging of the energetics of the land, listening to the spirit of the land, to receive vision for the ideal, most optimal blueprint. And it often is coming in with an element of the future. The land is evolving, the land is transforming, and always urges us to take one step further, one step up, and will often not offer visions that are, let's say, a kind of a boring suburban structure, right? But it will most definitely offer a vision that is really suited for the client's life situation, let's say.
Fantastic. And you're following kind of matriarchal approach to it, that you're doing that nurturing, listening, and then guiding, right? Yeah, that's very interesting.
Absolutely. I'm bringing the feminine wisdom back, Abhay, which is so
thank God for that,
key,
right?
It's so
thank
key.
God for that, right? Yeah. We have too much of the, No, I was going to
bring
say
the
that
balance back, right? And I love and weaving it in with the masculine, of course, creating this structure, these steps, so that we can ingrain it into the building code. That is my dream.
And restoring the balance
into the building code.
I agree with you, and I a big supporter of what you're saying here, because our co-sponsors for this talk today is a sister company called Soul Studio, and they follow a matriarchal system of analysis and providing mental wellness products and services. And I just find it really beautiful that you are actually being a pioneer in introducing that balance back in architecture, because it's so driven by ego, and why am I beating down on my own gender? But I'm just saying that it's just ego power driven thing. It doesn't have that balance of listening and, really kind of providing a holistic approach to it, which is the yin and yang and the hatha and many other things that you can come
I was
up with.
running my body, my system was running as the more the
understood.
Let's say the control, the control, ego, more of that, the less evolved masculine, right? But the key is to bridge the both. The key is to bridge the both. And
beautiful. So that is a sacred blueprint then, right?
Yeah, it's constantly evolving, Abhay. I mean, next year I might say something different, but absolutely, yes. I mean, it's really coming back to our connection to source, respecting nature as it is a living being. And this is actually what I was going to say, is we could get into the whole realm of sacred geometry. We could get into the whole realm of how forms impact our health. So, forms are also a part of the sacred blueprint.
Sure,
But I really want us all to relinquish the rules, relinquish hanging on to the rules of geomancy, the rules of feng shui, the rules of sacred geometry, the rules of the golden proportion, the rules. They're all valuable. Please study them. Absolutely. Be inspired by them. But at the end of the day, when you are co-creating together and you are tuning into your own body's wisdom and intuition, you will receive vision that is so fresh and so for the moment and so for serving the highest good of your clients.
The obvious question that I ask is, thanks, Aisha, it's so beautiful. Now, how do I go about doing that? I know you're writing a book. Is that we should wait for the book? or we should enroll in your classes. Could you just help us understand how?
Absolutely. Well, the Sacred Blueprint I have birthed as a sacred vessel that has courses, programs. I also mentor architects, currently women architects, and I am, I have an online course right now. It's a 9-week self-study online course, and it goes through the entire journey, the whole design path that I lead my clients through. So it is a course for property owners and architects. I've had so many architects join the course, and they are now reusing it for their own projects. They are actually, because it's an unlimited access, so you can always dip back into the exercises. Oh, I want to try connecting with the spirit of the land. Oh, let's do this visioning journey. Oh, I just need some keys and steps on how to guide my clients through visioning, right? Visioning with the land. And then I get also into some primers of land energetics so that you get a good, grounding, initial grounding of what that looks like and how to listen to your body's wisdom to find these sweet spots. So it's a self-study course, and to all of you who are participating right now, I am offering a discount, $400 discount. It is normally $1,398. I'm offering it to you for $997 Canadian. So check out the details. If it resonates with you, please email me, and I'm going to send you a secret link because no one else is getting this discount. So the email is there. Send me an email, and if you're interested, I'll send you the secret link, and I look forward to seeing you all in the course. It's so much fun. And if you're also working, if you're a property owner that is perhaps not right now ready to start designing, you can also do it phase by phase. You can work with discovering your soul's purpose, and then deepening in the spirit of the land, and then you can do the next modules when you feel ready to plan construction. Yeah.
That's really wonderful, Aisha. So a few more questions just coming back to your subject matter. There was that one project. We have a few minutes, and I think there's that one project that I would love for you to spend a few minutes talking about.
Absolutely.
So if you could be kind enough to kind of go to those, I think there were 2 or 3 images.
Is it hand sketch, or do you want to see the straw bale house?
Straw bale house, that's the one. Okay. Yes.
So this is a project I worked on with a client in Turkey, and we actually designed 7 houses together in a beautiful valley area in the south of Turkey. Mountains, beautiful rock formations in the back, river running through it, like paradise, absolute paradise. She is a transformational leader. She does family constellations work. She does, detoxes and healing, and she's very awake and already in tune as well. And so we found each other. We worked on one of the houses as a straw bale experiment, and a straw bale expert from Austria came to help us with the building process. I had my little one in my kangaroo. He was, I guess, like 1 year old or something. So I would make trips from Izmir with my son on the construction site. So this project really birthed out of a deep connection with the energetics of the site. And we worked with natural earthen plasters, natural materials. There's even layers of eucalyptus leaves and seaweed and packed earth roof on this lower portion, which is a kind of a circular living room. And, look, just notice the furniture, notice the steps, notice the objects in the space. She has made it hers. She has made this space hers. And, a lot of the designs that I do, you'll see, they range from maybe looking something more modern and sleek to something that is more organic and earthy. the important thing is that it suits the energetics of the client. Now, that said, I do, of course, encourage clients to use materials from the earth, natural materials, but it's not a rule. It's not a rule. I'm working on our own house, which is concrete and BIMS block, and we're going to do some natural finishes on the inside, but you can create magic actually with any kind of material, as long as it's not like horrendously ugly. So there's a softness to this space, and she's feeling so nourished in this space. She's feeling really nourished. If you could move on to the next image of it from the outside. There's this move. So yep, that's actually during construction. Yeah. And you can see the phenomenal rockscape in the background. I mean, the rocks were speaking to us. They are all, such powerful energies. And, this house has a quality also of the vernacular architecture, which is important, I feel, to respect. So there's a clay tile roof, and most of the houses in the area are, the older houses, indigenous to the area, are stone, 50 centimeter thick stone walls. This one, she really wanted to work with straw, and it was a great experimentation, a great learning process. And so there's this movement you can see of the roof. So it's feeling like there's this growth and movement coming like out of the landscape. So I feel like some of the keys of the new architecture is to bring this life, the breath of life, to buildings. I feel like there's a rigidity in a lot of the conventional architecture we see, and I don't feel like it's good for our souls.
I love it.
Yeah. I'm happy you do. Yeah.
It's almost
a great place.
In Vastu, that's the Indian science of building. There is a lion mouth, and then there is the cow face, right? So this is reminiscent of, like, when you said growing out, right? It just seems to me like it's a lion head that's just projecting out, because that's what, this transformational, your client, the healer, was probably wanting, is that, listen, I can show you the way forward. And it's really fascinating how her soul kind of translated that. Lovely. Really lovely. Yeah. Okay.
And what's really key here too is it's a good example, small enough project to give an example of the different experiences you get as you walk around the building. So this is another side of the building. You don't see that whole roof, right? And it's this low one-story curve. So just as an example, like, there are passive houses that I've seen in Switzerland that are gray boxes, totally passive. They checked up all the check marks.
All the tick marks.
All the tick marks are there. And you approach this thing and it doesn't speak to you. At
all, yes. We have examples like that in New York also.
Right? It doesn't speak to you.
Because you then become subservient to this whole technical concept of being a passive house, as against it responding to your soul, your spirit, and therefore your spirit architecture. Yeah. And I would love to speak so much more with you on your sacred blueprint and all this phenomenal work that you're doing, but we probably have to do that another time, because we reached the end of the show. We had a lot of things to talk about. There were some wonderful comments that came in from our guests here today, and we are very thankful for that. And we hope to see you again, Aisha, because this conversation needs to go on. And, this whole concept of restoring balance is so close to our heart at AWA Agora as well, because we just feel that, to have a holistic existence, you need to have balance.
Absolutely.
And how you balance that with the energy forces of Mother Earth, of Gaia, and how you connect is just phenomenal that you're doing all this fantastic work. So heartfelt congratulations to you. Please keep doing more of this.